desert. What the hell?
That was incredibly good at keeping social stability inside Egypt.
Oh my god, this guy. This is my nemesis? This is my nemesis on the internet? This is my biggest foe? This is my biggest obstacle to reaching enlightenment? My opponent, YouTube opponent, YouTube nemesis. I have not told everybody my story, but I have an opponent, I have a nemesis on YouTube, and this nemesis is someone that is so heinous and evil that the word evil was basically invented for this person. I have to give you the context, okay? I have to give you the context. This evil bastard is called What If Artist. And What If Artist is short for What If Alternative History, okay? And this evil bastard, this evil scheming mastermind creates cringy videos about history. And I'm like, I cannot let this stand. I have to debunk this. I have to be the brave hero to win the day and to show this evil character who's who and what's what, okay? And I have to debunk one of his worst videos yet, okay? This video is called something Western, something New Order, something World, okay? And we will debunk this video because I know that I'm on the side of righteousness and he is on the side of wrong choiceness, okay? And I believe that this is the key to my success, okay? Debunking this evil character. What the heck? Thank you! Okay, let's start. Goose. Are you prepared for this onslaught of mind? Like, you have to have a big brain. You really have to have a big brain to watch this analysis that I'm about to. Okay? What the heck? Okay, I'm not sure what this is. But, what are these? What the heck? Okay, never mind. What if art is... I have no idea what those searches were. My nemesis! We don't care about you, what if art is. Okay. We turn off the music, we're getting serious now. I'm putting on my big girl dress and I'm doing a takedown of this fraud, of this evil menace. Videos. Civilizations of the future. Like, this person plays too many video games. Like, when I see someone speak of the word civilizations, then I know that they just play too much civ games, okay? They play too many video games. Okay, I've skimmed through this. I have not seen this video. I just skimmed through fragments to see if this is total crap or if it's like worth preserving for the future of men.
History has turned many.
So I should make this louder. Wait, louder with Crowder? Browser, so quiet right now that I cannot hear anything. Okay, I am ready. I think I am prepared. Are you prepared? Because this is going to be the most epic of takedowns in the history of history. Right? Yeah? Okay. So let's put it on the full screen. and watch the civilizations of the future. This is a red flag for me. Whenever a cringy right-winger starts talking about civilizations, you know that it's just some nerd that plays too many video games. Okay? Civilizations.
Many times over.
Many
History has seen so
times
many
over.
empires rise.
And he has such an annoying way of speaking. And I should know. I have an annoying way of speaking myself. So, I realize that it's the kettle calling the battle black, but, or something, kettle pot and stuff, but I think I am well within my right to point out that there's a very specific way of speaking that conservative cringe lords tend to have. I will now do my best attempt to mimic the way of speaking of a typical right-wing edgelord. Okay, get ready. 3, 2, 1, I begin now. So, I have to say that this is a way of the civilization to begin, and we all know that when it starts, we all do our best to be the best civilization in the world, and it will lead to the defeat of the race of the best races in the race. There we go. This is the rhythm, more or less. Now I can, on pause, satisfied that I have dunked on this person's cringy right-wing manner of speaking. I know. Right-wing civilization.
Rise and fall, whether the Hittites, Egyptians, Romans, Persians, British,
See?
Mayans, Han, Aztecs, and about 1,000 more.
More. This is like a very specific way. This is like a very, I'm not making this up. Right-wingers genuinely have this weird, specific way of talking in their videos. Maybe more. This weird, pseudo-aggressive way of speech. Humankind has developed to improve civilization in the interest of the human race, species of humankind. Hello, Mostly Software. We're about to have super big fun because this is my nemesis on the internet and I'm taking him down. Today is the day when I have to take him down. Our duel. Either I will fall or he will fall and it's like a duel. But when I fall, this will be transphobia, so yeah, I better win, okay? It's true. I'm a feeble girl and he's a big boy. So, already cards are stacked against my table, so to speak. But he's a cringe lord, so it's okay. Civilization. I bet his favorite games are Europolopolis, and Civilization 10 or something, I don't know.
Civilizations come and go, leaving only genetic imprints, a few cultural traditions, and ruins for their descendants. The historian Oswald Spengler said that civilizations normally last for something like 2,500 years.
Civilization!
3 separate waves of civilizations rise and fall. The first being the Bronze Age round of Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Indus. The second being the Greeks and Romans, Persians, or Han China.
Oh yeah, totally. China has totally fallen and there is no China anymore. Oh yeah, China is such a fallen civilization. China? What is China? Oh, for sure. There is no China anymore. You dork. Oh, and same with India, right? There is no India. Islam is long gone.
Finally, Islam, the Orthodox civilizations, and the West.
The Orthodox civilization. This is the cringiest thing ever. Since the dawn of time, human empires have been the premier source of piles of rocks on the planet Earth. True! If it weren't for empires, we would not even have rocks. What would we even do? This is, look at this. Seriously look at this, okay? Seriously, take a look at this map and tell me if you can spot the problem. Tell me if you can, tell me if your civilization is, oh my god! The West! Islam, Orthodox, the West. What the fuck? Oh my god! What is going on here? Famous clash of civilizations of Islam, Orthodox, the West, and Ethiopia. Oh my gosh. This is what I told you. I told you this guy was a dunce. Where's the Buddhist Empire? Oh, Japanese Empire. The Japanese Empire. Okay. The Japanese Empire of the time of the 1500s.
In many ways, the Industrial Revolution and World Wars have crashed the pre-existing...
The West! I swear to God, you cannot make this up. And the best part is that the Orthodox... Wait, is Poland part of the West now? Yeah, the Poland is part of the West. What a dunce. Poland part of the West. Since when is Poland part of the West? Okay, whatever.
Cultural traditions.
The West! Here! Okay, I'm gonna move my avatar because this is prime time comedy. The West! The West! The West Lex La Malay. The West is here. The West is everywhere. The West is literally everywhere. Oh, the West. I guess. But it looks so stupid that I can't. I just can't.
Came into existence over thousands of years. For most of the world, their proud thousands of year old civilizations were destroyed by a combination of European colonialism and Marxism. Now there's...
What? I'm sorry. What? Did I hear that correctly? What? I'm sorry. I don't mean to but I have to go back a bit, okay? What was the combination? The famous combination that destroyed many civilizations?
Were destroyed by a combination of European colonialism and Marxism.
What? I'm sorry. Civilizations were destroyed by the famous Marxist European colonizations. Okay, I see. Oh, I played the Highland Buddhist. Because I have the high ground, okay? I'm gonna show you evidence, okay? This is, I think, is the best thing to be. I think it's the best thing to be in the whole civilized clash of civilizations, okay? I think the Jedi won, even though they were all killed, but they won.
Now their societies desperately try to figure out how to adapt to a new industrial world. Meanwhile, the proud West committed suicide during the World Wars.
What? What if he's such a dunce, I swear. And people say that he's educated, that what else he's is what the hell? The West. So the civilization, let's recap what we know thus far. So civilizations were killed by the famous colonialism by Marxism, and also the West committed suicide because West is Hitler. Okay, I see. What Hitler
all at the
did.
same time, science and the massive changes that came with industrial life mean that all societies have to adapt.
Evil Marx!
This video is meant to look at 800 or so years, going much further into the future than any other kind of video I've made to predict what new kinds of civilizations will appear in the world to replace old dying ones. We'll look at the conditions that tend to form new civilizations, and then apply those principles to the world of the future. Prepare for a strange and mind-melting journey into the distant future.
True! If anyone can lead us through this perilous journey, it's a dork that is a right-winger and clumsily hides it and doesn't know history. Burp. Best type of video. Best times. Love it. I love it. What music? Wow!
We're going through a very crazy time in our current civilization, where I think a trained eye can...
I can't with this language. I cannot. We go through such a time in our current civilization. I swear this person plays far too many video games.
Start to see us evolving towards something new. But with the media presenting a more narrow view than ever before, it's hard to
True. Fake news, right? Am I right?
find all the information you need to get a full picture.
Yeah, you need to watch Wild Hist to get the full picture. Wild Hist will tell you the things that no one else will.
Thankfully,
And
I
that's a fact, Jack.
have ground news to help me sort things out.
True.
Ground news isn't a news outlet, it's a filter.
Oh, get out of here, you shill. Can't you make your own money? Can't you make your money from like donos like I do? Can't you be rich? Get out of here. Okay, are we done? Are you done with your shameless shilling? It's true, Star Kitsune. Media was angel realm before. Now it's fake
various
news.
forms of behavior.
Actually, the one period of history that marked the media becoming evil and corrupted was when the Holy Emperor Trump of our civilization ascended into power and led our civilization into a new golden age. And then he was usurped by the evil Dark Brandon, and now our civilization is on our way out. It's true. Evil Brandon will kill our civilization. Just to watch, and then we will all be friends.
His theory is that civilizations fell when they stopped having the ability to provide cultural forms to deal with the world around them as
True.
it exists in reality for them. Basically, when the cultural conditions under which that civilization formed end up being so different from the current society that a total revamp is required with a new civilization.
What the is he even saying? What are you saying? Like, literally. Like, yeah, things became so different that we need a total revamp and we need to, like, roll in a new civilization. What is this blabbering nonsense? I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be super clear now. I'm gonna tell you something. There is no such thing as a revamp with a new civilization. The so-called new civilization are just continuations of the new civilizations of the old ones in a slightly different form. Get out of here with this nonsensical speak.
An example of this is how ancient Egypt formed when the area was far away from the central action of the world and distantly
Central action.
separated from all...
What the hell does central action of the world mean? There's no such thing as central action of the world. What?
Neighbors by the Sahara and Arabian deserts. Ancient Egypt developed into a theocratic absolutist monarchy.
Like, this is such video game brain nonsense. Central action of the world. What is that? I mean, you can sort of make the case. Like, you could sort of make the case, at least now, that there are countries now that could enter the world with the nuclear, like, Armageddon crap. But what did the center of the action of the world mean during Egypt? What? Impossible desert! What the hell?
That was incredibly good at keeping social stability inside Egypt.
Oh my god, this guy. This is my nemesis? This is my nemesis on the internet? This is my biggest foe? This is my biggest obstacle to reaching enlightenment? I can't believe. Yeah, see? Where's your sir? You mean the Arab states or the part... What do you mean, Obsessive? Or do you mean the Arab states or the Parthians or the Kush or the Egypt or the Seleucids or the Anatolian states or the Roman Republic? Which one is your civilization? Which civ do you choose? Which is your starting civ? Where are you?
However, as the world changed and Egypt was suddenly in the center of the map, and Egypt was very geographically accessible for invaders, It made Egypt incredibly easy to conquer. Meanwhile, the worship of the emperor was no longer appealing when Egypt's peasants realized better and less exploitive religious systems existed.
I always start with impossible desert. Well, that's fair. Nobody can get to you, right? If this is impossible.
Elsewhere. This resulted in thousands of
This guy is such a dork. I cannot take this video seriously.
Years of conquest by foreign powers, and under these conditions, the traditional Egyptian culture wilted. I think
True. They did not get enough points. They got owned. Game over, I guess.
This is a fairly decent comparison in the modern world. I'd highly recommend reading Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope, which I think is in competition to be the greatest history book of...
This is so painful when he recommends books, because this is so unfair against the author of these books that he recommends them, because it just makes me question if those books are any good or not. And that's not really fair to the authors, you know? I watch the dork recommend books, and I'm thinking, wow, if these are the books he recommends, are these books even any good? But then I remind myself I should be fair and separate the authors of the books from the cringy creator of the video, okay? We should still give chance to the poor authors of the books that he recommends, even if it's like by him. He is remembered for his teaching work as a professor of Georgetown University and for his writing about global conspiracies, in which he argued that the Anglo-American banking elite have worked together for centuries to spread certain values globally. Wait, what? Who? Who are you? Who? Are you talking about Carol Quigley now? Wait, really? Are you serious? Oh my god. Maybe my gut is correct after all. Seriously? He's remembered for his teaching work as a professor at Georgetown University and for his writing about global conspiracies, in which he argued that an Anglo-American banking elite have worked together for centuries to spread certain values globally. Let me guess, Anglo-American banking elite being the Jewish people, I bet. I bet this is some weird offshoot of the JQ. I bet you. Wow, oh my god. For a second I was like, well, let's be fair to the authors. Maybe the video maker is cringe, but maybe the books are good. And then Star Kitsune has showed us he's rolled in with the base takes, spitting facts, having no slacks. We have learned the bitter truth. Wow. Okay.
Reading Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope, which I think is in competition to be the greatest history book of all time.
What? Well, that explains a lot. That certainly explains a lot. I want to hear this again after your description. Okay, Obsessive Urge. I think we want to make a short of this, okay? I read this. I want to have this part when I read aloud. He is remembered for his teaching work as a professor at Georgetown University and for his writing about global conspiracies, in which he argued that an Anglo-American banking elite have worked together for centuries to spread certain values globally, okay? And then I want it to be followed by this statement.
I think this is a fairly decent comparison in the modern world. I'd highly recommend reading Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope, which I think is in competition to be the greatest history book of all time. And
this is gold. It's in competition for being one of the best history books of all time. If this is... Oh my god. If he considers this to be the best historian of all time, then that explains a lot. That explains why his map is like Russian Empire, Germany, Austria. Oh, the world in 914. Okay. the Russian Empire, the Russian civilization. Oh my God. Republic of China, Empire of Japan.
And is about how the old traditional civilizations were crushed by the Industrial Revolution and the World.
Okay. Okay, I have to ask seriously, okay? I have to ask seriously. Like, I expect chat to be like super active in this, okay? Because I have an actual genuine question.
Which I think is
Okay,
the
yeah,
Industrial
whatever.
Revolution and old traditional time, and is about how the old traditional civilizations were crushed by the Industrial Revolution and the World Wars.
Okay. Traditional civilizations were crushed by the Industrial Revolution and the World Wars. Do you know what I have? Do you know what my takeaways from this statement? You know? Do you know? Time for quiz. Quiz time. Time for quiz. All civilizations were crushed by the industrial civilization, by the industrial revolution, and by world wars. Means that he has no idea what the world civilization means. He just has no idea what the world civilization means. What? My nemesis is a dunce. My nemesis is just a silly goose. Yeah, that sounds about right. Altis doesn't know what the word civilization means. That tracks. That tracks with my understanding of what he just said. Okay. Ottoman Empire? Fair enough, Ottoman Empire fell, but he didn't say civilization. Okay? He said civilizations fell. Get in the pond, Althis. True, and debate me. I'll debate Althis like Voj debated Althis. Okay? True! True! Maybe I should. Maybe Stephen will be my new nemesis. Stephen Bernal II, the famous transphobe. But okay, let's continue.
Almost all certainties that had been established by the Catholic Church, Confucius, or Hinduism fell apart in front of machine guns, birth control, or new religions like communism or
What? His ideology really poisons his take on history. I have to say, being a right winger is like poison to the brain. What did he just say?
Almost all certainties that had been established by the Catholic Church, Confucius, or Hinduism fell apart in front of machine guns, birth control, or new religions like communism or nationalism.
Ah, yeah, the famous slayer of civilizations, birth control. Why? Why? Right wing? Being a right winger is the poison to the brain. Like, you can read hundreds of books, you can read like thousands of books, and the right wing brain will destroy your take on history. So that was that thought that was Impact Fund and was absolutely convinced he's getting his understand of the words from memes. I would not be surprised. Confucius versus the pill. True! I mean, he did basically say that just now, didn't he? Like, this is so ridiculous. The famous crusher of civilizations, the evils of birth control, and Marxism, of course. Oh, wait. I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm just getting too close. What about now? What about now? Is it still echo? Is there still echo? I'm not sure why. Wait. I don't understand. Yoink! Yoink! Let me check something.
None of the world's civilizations are as they used to. Talk to Indian or
Wait, I don't. What about now? Oh, I fixed it! I fixed it! Okay. I fixed it. Yeah, I'm the best! I'm the beautifulest. I'm so beautiful and pretty and cute, okay? This is what you have to say from now on, okay? Lucy, cute. Cute, okay?
Chinese nationalists and the massive
Because this is the Lucy civilization. Lucy civilization for the win.
fervor with which they react to any criticism is a sign of a profound insecurity that comes from colonialism. Islamic radicalism, which in its current form is less than 100 years old, is the same thing. Funnily enough,
True. Exactly, true. Islam destroys civilizations along with birth control and what were the other things that destroy civilizations? Along with Marxism, yeah, okay, so we have the three main evils. Okay, not free, it's not a closed list, okay? The list is still open, but so far we've got Marxism, birth control, and Islam, the destroyers of civilizations.
the West, the undisputed winner of the modern world, is the least confident of the world's civilizations and is currently attempting its own suicide. However,
What the is the West? There's no such thing as the West, okay? The West is a made-up concept by cringy right-wingers. There is no such thing as the West. And including Poland in the West is like the silliest thing in the world. Poland complains about the West all the time. Also, what does it mean to be the winner? Like, what the? This is just empty babble. This is not fair. This person has like 1 billion subscribers and I have like 150. Maybe I should just start babbling like vapid crap like this as well. Civilization, I think, has won in the battle of the wits, and I think West is a clear winner in the civilization contest, but is now suiciding by birth control. And I do believe that the Catholicism, which has guided us through the civilizational perils, has led to a strain which leads a new wipe and a new civilization will be born. Thank you. Can I have 100,000 subscribers now? Can I have 1 billion subscribers now that I'm like copying the best and spewing the same nonsense?
we humans need psychological stability. In the Middle Ages,
True! Historically speaking, we all know that our history has been filled with psychological stability. Sure, that's how it is. Yeah, of course. What?
societies had to protect their psychic defenses in the same way they protect their physical borders from invaders.
Psychic defenses? What is this video? Prepare your psychic defenses. I will come for you soon. What the hell is going on? What the hell?
And in a lot of ways, I think that's true. Without confidence in our worldview, humans either wither on the vine, like we see with so many young folks today, collapsing into watching Netflix and nihilism.
What? Netflix and nihilism? This person is such a dunce, I swear. Oh my god, Netflix and nihilism. Netflix and chill.
No direction to position themselves in, which is similar to the...
True, they're not even civilizationized.
Me seen in tribal peoples upon contact with the modern world, or horribly lashing out like the tyrannies of the industrial world like Mao, Hitler, or Stalin.
True! Lashing out against the world! It's standing against the world!
Their worldviews psychologically grope towards complete certainty. With all this going on, it seems fairly likely that we foresee in their worldviews psychologically grope towards complete certainty. With all this going on, it seems fairly likely...
Oh my god. Well, can I remind you how many subscribers this guy has? 4 400 440,000 subscribers. Thank you. 440,000 people think this guy is smart. This is the civilization that we live in. Our civilization is collapsing.
Likely that we form new civilizations, so let's look at what metrics Carol Quigley used to look for new civilizations. He said
We are looking for new civilizations like we are looking for Pokemon.
Civilizations cannot form in the heartland of older civilizations.
True!
That contains too much pre-existing cultural baggage.
Exactly! We don't want the baggage. Bilbo Baggins.
Been in an area under the influence of previous civilizations.
Of course, this is bullshit because a lot of the quote-unquote new civilizations have like arose in the place of the old Roman Empire. But I guess that does not fit the narrative, does it? I'm not gonna grope you psychologically. Psychological groping says what?
It forms at the confluence of two separate, distinct societies. Meanwhile, it had to form under people of similar ethnic stock who share similar religious and cultural views. Spengler added in that they had to have a similar geography which informed their worldview. Before we
Aha! Humanity!
Start, I want to be extraordinary.
Because civilizations and games.
Fairly humble given the time scale we're looking at.
The game.
The collapse of a dominant
Every 2,000 years, the game resets and we start anew.
Civilizations of the modern people, those that have taken thousands of years to form, will take hundreds of years at least. This video is taking stabs.
When did the Japanese quote-unquote civilization collapse? It just continued, and it continues still today. What do you mean? Same with China. Are you high? We still have China today. I hate the Roman Empire and these things which would have not fit under those criteria. Yeah, exactly. What the hell? This person just does not understand the word civilization.
In the dark.
Like, I'm sorry. What if all his is just not a very smart dude?
Agree that I don't even know if I'm stabbing in a room anymore. I normally say I'm betting against God and that I have infinite ways to be wrong, but that's for videos predicting the world a year from now. Here we're dealing with stuff so far in the future that I'm betting against Cthulhu. At least God can talk in human languages and has a couple best-selling books about his perspective on things.
Okay, I will go to the toilet real quick. I will give you time to compose yourselves, okay? I will give you time to compose yourselves, and then we will continue this epic video, and we will, because this is my nemesis. So Cthulhu, God fights against Cthulhu, at least God speaks our language and has books, and Cthulhu, and we predict, okay? All this in the famous Lucy has a stream right after I return. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna entertain you so much, and then we'll play some of the Goose Game, okay? Toilet song. Can someone sing me the toilet song that Demon Mama has? Oh yeah. Please become a Patreon. Because I need a lot of money to be able to not die. Thank you so much for allowing me to live. Okay, so right now we are at a very important juncture of this video. We are at a crucial... Oh, thank you so much for subscribing, Star Kitsune. You are the best friend that I have ever had in the last 5 minutes of the stream. It's true. But yes, we have reached a critical mass. This person, which is actually a pretty nice looking person on this, I think. Okay, worst is this. I think it's a bit of a stun lag, but I have a question. Is this a stock video? Is this a stock photo? Or is this actually from something? Is this from something? Or is this just a stuck image from like some kind of like a... But this is a nice looking person. And nice haircut. Nice... Okay, maybe the sweater is not that good. I'm not sure I like this color. Press boom 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 if you like the color of this sweater thing. I don't think it's a turtleneck. It doesn't have the neck. But yeah. Very nice, very nice.
Cthulhu is just beyond us all. A very important thing to consider is that I'm missing a couple key variables that make this much more difficult. The first...
Ooh, just a couple of key variables? What if he's the genius? Yes, Stark Industries, like there's something... Oh, obsessive or you have hit the heart like the... You know? It's like the Ironheart. Do you know Ironheart? Did you know that there's like a Marvel character called Ironheart? She was like the Iron Man, but the girl, and she was called Ironheart. Did you know? Did you know? Are you enough of a comic book nerd to know about Ironheart or no? Yeah. Very cool, very cool. Very cute design. I like the very cute. I almost forgot that Obsessive Word is like a comic book nerd like me. Wait, really? Seriously? We're gonna see Ironheart in Black Panther 2? Wow, nice, okay. Yeah. I'm like a billion years old and I didn't graduate anything. Just goes to show, okay? Just goes to show. Okay. We continue with the video. But I might have not graduated. Oh, right, wait, really? I have to watch. Can you link? But yeah, we'll watch it after like we finish this. My duel with my nemesis. But yeah, I might have not graduated from anything, but at least I'm beautiful. So I have this going for me.
Cthulhu is just beyond us all. A very important thing to consider is that I'm missing a couple key variables that make this much more difficult.
Yes.
The first is technology, where we have absolutely no idea what kind of inventions could...
Why is he showing the X-Men? The X-Men are mutants. Their powers are not based on technology. Why is he showing the X-Men when talking about future technology? That makes no sense at all. Like, what? Why the X-Men? Why not technologies when the X-Men, I guess? And women. What?
Could change the world over the next 1,000 years. Hell, we might not even be humans after a certain point. Another thing to consider...
Is he saying the X-Men are not human?
The technology radically changes...
Okay, Arctic disease? What? What are those maps? What are those insane maps? Arctic disease. Not farmable with old style plows. Mountains, desert. What? Disease. What's going on? What's going on?
What areas are geographically
Oh my
important.
God.
The invention of a new kind of plow around 1880 turned the American Great Plains from completely unfarmable to the most productive farmland in the world. The invention of the anti-malarial measures of around 1900 turned the Caribbean and Florida from an area where 60% of white arrivals would die within 6 months to a vacation paradise. Second is that the Industrial Revolution will force us to make massive philosophic breakthroughs, on the level of the famed Axial Age, which produced Jesus Christ, Confucius, Muhammad, Buddha, and the like. These figures totally dominate the trajectories of the civilizations that came after. If something like this seems far-fetched, how are figures like Nietzsche or Karl Marx noticeably different in recent history? However, with each of these figures...
What? Oh yeah, Karl Marx is totally the new Jesus. Are you an idiot? Wow. Yeah, so totally. Marx is just a religious figure, like, I mean, maybe to Marxist-Leninists, but...
Figures, their
I mean, if right-wingers like him have their way, we won't even live to see any other civilizations. We'll just all die from the global warming or something.
philosophies were works of genius. And since I am not the greatest genius in history, I am incapable of...
Whoa, no, you're not? You're not the greatest genius? I can, but you're saying so many smart things. Give yourself more credit, rival. You're not, are you sure you're not the greatest genius? Are you sure you're not the greatest genius in the world? Are you not just being modest? Are you sure?
figuring out the philosophic
You
teachings
sure?
of each future religion all over the world for the next
Future religions? What are you saying? Oh my gosh.
1,000 years, since those teachings would have to be invented in turn by some of the greatest geniuses in history.
What? Oh, and he's showing Elon Musk. Okay. Elon Musk! Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, the greatest geniuses. And then, is this Elon Musk? Is he actually saying that Elon Musk is one of the greatest geniuses in the world? Oh my god. True! Oh my god.
This ties my hands behind my back in a lot of ways, since trying to predict a Europe without Christianity or a China without Confucianism is very difficult. In this video, we're going to be looking at
True,
the
very difficult. It's very difficult.
various regions in the world and the different civilizations I think might develop going around the world and then beyond.
Civilization!
The Chernozem civilization. When you look at the places in the world where civilizations form, they're mostly in the wreckages of total collapses of the previous world order. The civilizations of the Iron Age,
Total collapse of the world order.
like the Jews, Indians, Persians, Phoenicians, or Greeks, came out of the rubble of the total collapse of Bronze Age civilization and their entire world system that existed for thousands of years. Alternately, how the fall of Rome allowed the creation of Islamic, Western, and Orthodox civilization.
My god. What? Does he know where the schism of the church happened? Like, East-West schism. There you go. Like, my god.
I'm very sad to say that Eastern Europe looks like it'll be in the position to have a collapse of the current civilization over the next couple centuries.
What? East Europe will have a collapse of civilization. Oh, well, I've seen this guy's... Oh, yeah, welcome. I've seen this dude's video on the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and I really know how well-versed this person is on Eastern Europe, so I don't have much hope for the stakes.
Reminds me of the conditions above. Partially, this area is in the middle of the map, which means it can get attacked from all sides, and thus is liable to get screwed over. I mean, this area's historian, Timothy Snyder, referred to it as the Bloodlands for a reason. Their history during the World Wars is just one chapter of this long and beautiful history.
What? Are you high? What the? European Union exists now. What the? Poland.
Other just being the conditions that this area is in. Orthodox Eastern Europe is the area projected to lose the fastest amount of...
Wait, what's the religion of Lithuania? What? Lithuania. Like, I cannot. What's the main religion of Lithuania? Lithuania. Like... Religion. 79 and 4.4% Christianity. Interesting. I have to was the religion of Lithuania? Because this sounds like BS. Okay, 74% is Catholic. There we go. There we go. Lithuania is included in the Orthodox civilization, quote unquote. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. How embarrassing. Lithuania is mostly Catholic. How embarrassing. How embarrassing that Lithuania is actually Catholic, but in his estimation is included in the Orthodox world. Oh my.
Population of anywhere
How embarrassing.
over the next century in the world. Every country in this area will lose half its population over the next 60 years. The thing to consider is that once one hits a negative cycle like that, bad begets more bad, which means that this will result in the total collapse of functioning societies in the region.
What? Are you in the next 60 years? I don't know what to say.
Peter Zeihan, one of the most respected people in geopolitical studies today, believes that most of Afro-Eurasia is on the track to see a civilizational collapse on the level of the fall of Rome, or the Bronze Age collapse over the next century. He makes this argument due to collapsing populations and also how the modern industrial world requires American guarantorship and an extremely complex supply chain that just cannot function except under extremely optimal conditions that cannot exist forever. He makes an incredibly compelling argument, but
forever.
I tend to not like apocalyptic arguments. People always say the world's ending, and it very, very, very rarely does.
What do you mean the world very rarely dies? What are you saying? The world has ended a few times before? Like saying that the world rarely ends implies that it sometimes does. When in history did the world end? What?
Own apocalyptic predictions hold that the world will suck for a few decades and then we'll have unparalleled prosperity. But I have immense respect for Zeihan.
This is such simplistic and stupid way of saying history. The world will suck for a bit and then we'll see prosperity. This is like such childish way of thinking about history. Like, this is such child brain way of thinking about history that I'm in pain.
Argument, and a point must be made that we've never seen population structures like this before in history.
Like, I have to remind you, Steven has watched this guy's debate with Vosh and said that this guy is super educated and that Vosh was out of his depth when he debated this guy, okay? And Steven even had this guy on stream very recently and they talked about really silly things. Like, this is ridiculous. This guy is considered to be well educated on history.
In which half of the world's population will simply starve if anything goes wrong in the agricultural supply system. And a bet you can always take is that something will eventually go very wrong. People have predicted the end of the modern capitalist world in 15 different ways since the Industrial Revolution, and each have had
the evils of Marxism.
Had compelling arguments in their own ways at the time, but each have been wrong for their own complex reasons. However,
I see.
Zeihan's thesis of total civilizational collapse, this region will have a giant power vacuum. America's geostrategic interests involve controlling the oceans and keeping Western Europe safe, neither of which really involves this region. Russia seems like a totally washed out power, having totally lost its vitality and largely being washed out. Meanwhile, no Muslim power could ever dominate this region, given how big and how far north the area is. The biggest factor in making me guess that this area will form a new civilization is that
this area is gonna form a new civilization called the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth 2.0. There we go. That's the new civilization. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth 2.0. That's gonna be the new civilization. And Lucy's gonna be at the helm of it.
There's no real ideological force here that unifies the area.
What? What? Shows how much you know. What the?
Provides any real power, and that Eastern Europeans really don't have that much to believe in.
What? I left a tube of cream cheese in the fridge for too long and formed a new civilization once. Had to throw it out. I mean, after 2,000 years, you probably should, and then you should start a new one. That is what Aldhis would recommend you. After 2,000 years, you throw away the civilization, you just start a new one. Eastern Europeans don't have much to believe in. Okay, I see.
But Eastern Europe has some of the smartest people in the world, and
Oh, it has some of the smartest people. I'm one of the smartest people. I'm smart.
they could do a wonderful job at making new ideologies.
This sounds... Oh my god. Eastern Europe has some of the smartest people, and they would do a great job of creating new ideologies. Do you see now what I say, that this guy is totally gamer-brained? Do you see now? Like, this literally is like, oh yeah, Eastern Europeans are so smart guys. They have some smart perks. And the perks of the Eastern Europeans allow them to make great new ideologies. What is this? I'm not even sure what is there to respond here. This is total nonsense. This is total, like, he's just saying things. I mean, sometimes you have to let go of your cream cheese. This what it is, right? You have to let it go for something brand new.
This area is incredibly ripe for some kind of new ideology or religion.
This is child speak. This area is right for some new ideology.
The sort of trajectory I would guess is that Orthodox Eastern Europe over the next few centuries is the area that sees its population collapse as it already is. The sort of trajectory I could see is that Orthodox Eastern Europe over the next 2 centuries sees its population collapse as we're already seeing right now.
Poland is not Orthodox. Lithuania is not Orthodox. Okay? Like, wow.
And as is connected with the collapse in the global supply chains and thus urbanization, you'd see ruralization. The area loses a lot of its pride, and as I talk about in this video, as the Americans re-enter the European continent, it becomes a frontier area. As I talk about in these videos, I'm very bullish on the Muslim world, and so I could see this being a...
Of course, Poland is here, like, considered to be part of the West, okay?
Border region between Western, Islamic, and the remnants of Orthodox civilization. This sort of cultural intermixing is perfect for the creation of a new civilization.
True! New civilization! What the... Oh my gosh. Oh no! You're mistaken. You're very mistaken. He made it on... He uploaded this a couple of days ago. Okay? He uploaded this a couple of days ago. This is his newest video. This is the brand new video, okay? Fresh out of the oven. Fresh out of the oven. There we go. NATO! The NATO civilization, the NATO civ. True! True! The NATO civilization. Why haven't I thought of the NATO civilization? I guess I'm small brain. I guess I'm too small brain. I'm not as I'm not as much of a genius as what I felt his is. Oh my goodness. Turkey, the Turkish Empire. Nice, very nice. The Turkish Empire. The Thanksgiving. The Turkish Empire, or as we call it, the Thanksgiving Empire. Iran, very nice, very nice. Iran's doing very well for itself. Russia, wow, Russia became so small. Is this Poland or what? Is this Poland here? Is NATO the Polish Empire? What's going on? I need more context, okay? I need more context, but Russia became small.
This area has a very long and bloody history of fighting the Muslims, and so a revived Turkish Muslim caliphate attacking the region over the centuries would ignite centuries-old traditions of bloodily fighting off the Muslims. That would give this
True. We're just gonna return to Middle Ages. Return to Middle Ages.
area a new purpose and meaning. I call the civilization Chernozem, or the Russian term for Black Earth, or the soil of southern Ukraine, which was populated by Slavs who drove out the native Turkic nomads in the 18th century. This is an area.
What? Slavs who drove off the... What? He has no idea about the history of the wild fields, okay? What the hell?
Away from the traditional civilizational centers that would also be on a fault line of civilizational struggle. Thus, I think this civilization would be based around the Caucasus, southern Russia, Ukraine, and Romania. From there, it might spread across Eurasia and Eastern Europe. I was talking to an intelligent European friend, and what he told me was...
I was talking to an intelligent European friend. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wowzers. Wowzers, dowsers. I was talking to an intelligent European friend. What an amazing introduction. Well, if he's an intelligent European friend, then he has to be smart, right? He still has a lot of intelligent things to say. Turkey definitely not a part of NATO. Well, you don't know. You don't know what the future civilizations hold for us. You don't know. You're not as smart as what if Aldhist.
That modern Europe at this point is incapable of having a Christian revival, since it moves so far towards nihilism.
True. True. Nihilism for the win.
The war-torn lands of Eastern Europe, he thought that there'd be a rise of a new Nietzschean-like prophet who would be able to form a new philosophic form to unite this.
What the hell is this? Wow, this looks like a parody. Nietzschean-like prophet? Nietzsche was not a prophet. He's like a philosopher, no? What do you mean Nietzschean-like prophet? What?
Region. This area has always viewed the world in Manichaean black and white terms, and has always viewed...
Also, why would there be some prophet? What the hell?
State as the exemplification of the will of the nation and whole society. Like
will of the nation. Will of the nation.
Both of which come out of how unprotected the geography is.
What?
Likewise, due to transportation problems, where transporting books and ideas is much cheaper than anything with real physical economic value. What? Eastern Europe's aristocracies and intellectual abilities have always surpassed their actual economic abilities. Thus, Eastern Europe is...
What? I'm sorry, what?
Abilities have always surpassed their actual economic abilities. Thus,
what?
Physical economic value... Eastern Europe's aristocracies and intellectual abilities have always surpassed their actual economic abilities.
What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Their intellectual abilities have surpassed their economical ability? What does that mean? What the hell do you mean?
Thus, Eastern Europe has often been the land of illiterate, unmotivated peasants and then brilliant and incredibly industrious upper and middle class intellectuals. A worldview like Nietzsche's, which prioritizes the creation of excellence, will probably gain dominance in this region.
Oh my god, this is what happens when the person that has no idea of the history of the region that he's talking about. What?
Add on top of this being the top region where fascism is most popular in the world today. To be clear, I think the chances this region actually has Nietzsche as a prophet are fairly low, but I think in my stabbing in the dark, something like him is my best guess. Nietzsche's also a fairly dark figure, but all of the Axial Age prophets had roles.
No, Nietzsche is the dark figure according to dunces that misread what he wrote.
Views that are beautiful ways of viewing the world.
Oh my god.
Thus, imagine a positive ideology around attaining excellence, hopefully the potential for which would not be bastardized with genetic engineering. Part 2. African Civilizations.
African civilizations.
The top area where I'm most curiously looking for new civilizations. Africa is an area that...
This is some gamer brain.
To be brutally blunt, was fairly out of most of history. In the 17th century, all of Europe had around 100 million people, and India and China had about 150 million each. Meanwhile, all of sub-Saharan Africa had around 40 million. Africa had precious few developed states, mostly concentrated in the area to the south of the Sahara called the Sahel, with most of the continent illiterate before European colonization. The reason Europeans and Muslims enslaved Africa
out of history is when no white people literally, like, what the hell does that even mean? Out of history, what the hell? This is such nonsense. This is such nonsense speak. There is no such thing as being out of history. There is no such thing. What? Yeah, I'll be blunt. They've been out of the loop. They've just been like frozen in time, you know? They had no history. Africa had no history. What the fuck?
Africans was that it was one of the few places in the world where governments weren't organized enough to be able to resist large slaving ships. This was largely due to Africa's geography, in which it first of all had the worst diseases of anywhere in the world, meaning people couldn't build cities or live in the lowlands. There were no navigable rivers, only a handful of ports in all of sub-Saharan Africa, some of the worst soil in the world, rain patterns that made steady agriculture difficult, and no pack animals. This meant that it was incredibly difficult for African societies to scale. The incredible thing is that with the industrial age, all of Africa's geographic flaws can be solved. Railroads and canals can get around the navigation and transportation problems. The diseases can be solved with modern medicine, and fertilizer can deal with the soil problems. The effect of this has already been made self-evident through how Africa's population and agricultural productivity has gone up by a factor of 5 since 1950. If the population trends continue, there will be 4 billion Africans by the end of the century. However, the problem with Africa is that those trends cannot continue in a sane world. Africa's population growth has been massively in excess of the growth of any of its institutions. Africa lacks strong nations, transportation networks, stable capitalist systems, and the like. Africa's population growth in many ways has
capitalism
standard of living. For Zihan's thesis of a collapse in the world's order, the region that would be hit the hardest is Africa. This is for a complex set of reasons I talk about in greater depth in this video, which...
Yeah, no, we don't really want to watch another video of yours. This video is more than enough, okay? We're the rival.
If the global economy were to crash, Africa would get hit the hardest. Most nations in Africa cannot support their own populations, and the agriculture is not irrigated or mechanized, meaning that if something goes wrong in the world, the lack of fertilizer imports means Africa...
I'm gonna be honest, Africa did just fine before, European colonizers just came and screwed it over. I'm sorry, Africa did just fine, okay?
Experience mass starvation. I think it's the likely option that most countries in Africa collapse over the next 30 years. However, as I mentioned in this video, beauty and greatness comes out of chaos, which means that Africa has the
Another empty slogan. Beauty and greatness comes out of chaos. This is like listening to Jordan Peterson's word salad. Beauty and grace comes out of chaos.
Opportunity to establish civilizations that are totally new. Africa doesn't have the massive, entrenched, multi-thousand-year civilizations.
Yes, it does, you idiot. Yes, it does. What do you mean it doesn't have more? What? What? You're an idiot. Yes, Africa does have a... What? What do you think the word civilization means? Yes, it does. What? Like my... This is my rival. This is my nemesis. Like... I don't know if he knows what the word civilization means. Like even if Europeans destroyed them, they still are a civilization. They're still alive. There are still people that are alive in Africa. That's a civilization, you idiot. Like, this person is just a dunce, like, I swear. What? What is he? Like, everybody in Africa has died? Yeah, of course Africa was kind of thriving civilization. Like, what are you talking about? What the hell? It still has civilization it still has a civilization. What do you mean?
Places like Asia or Europe, which means there is a massive vacuum that allows the creation of new entities.
There's a massive vacuum? What? Like, Africa is rich in culture and history. What do you mean? This is just because you don't know it, but it doesn't mean there's nothing there. Read a book.
Africa is also the area with the fastest population growth, thus providing a young male population to wage wars.
Young male!
Could further progress by creating more competition. Spengler talks about how civilizations work by first raising a population to greatness by providing them structure, but over time that structure gradually consumes a society, destroying its creativity or ability to respond to real problems. Africa has so much raw energy since it hasn't seen that process fully play out. This is why African music and pop culture are so good, since they can tap into universal human experiences with a greater degree of vigor and energy.
What do you mean, African music and pop culture? The most quote-unquote African music and pop culture are from America. What? Not from Africa. What is he talking about? Like, what? What? His racism is coming out.
Much raw energy since it hasn't seen that
process. His racism is literally coming out.
Fully play out. This is why African music and pop culture are so good, since they can tap into universal human experiences with a greater degree of vigor and energy.
This is why African pop culture and music are so... What? Those things are from America, not from Africa. I think he's literally thinking that African Americans are African culture. I think he thinks that music created by black people in the US are quote-unquote African culture. What the hell? This is American culture. What is going on here? What is this person? Black people in the US are Americans, not Africans. What the hell? It's...
Over the next couple centuries...
What the hell? Like, literally, all black people are African civilization, I guess. Like, what the hell? What is going on here? I have to listen to this again.
Are so good, since they can tap into much raw energy since it hasn't seen that process fully play out. This is why African music and pop culture are...
This is why African music and pop culture... What does he mean by African music and pop culture? Like, all I can think is like, black people that made the jazz and hip-hop, but that's American. That's 100% American. Like, what the hell? Black culture in America is totally different than African culture. It's like it's nothing alike. Black people in America are Americans. What? What the hell?
They can tap into
What the
universal
hell?
experiences with a greater degree of vigor and energy. Over the next couple centuries, we will likely see various colonial powers move into parts of Africa. This is since no African state in real terms has the ability to resist foreign incursion. However, Africa has many minerals that are necessary to the global economy.
Wait, what? So he's thinking that colonialism will become a thing once more? What? Why?
These include Nigeria or Angola's coastal oil supply, or the Congo supply of coltan, among many others. However,
Yeah, it's like calling a native Colorado dish a European culture. This is like nonsense. Like this whole what about his person is just a dunce. He does not know history, and his weird racist conservative leanings are really showing. Like what? His inner right winger is really showing.
for much of Africa, there's simply no incentive to colonize it. This means there will be a certain degree of foreign influence in Africa, while most of the continent will be free, which seems like ideal conditions for a new civilization to form.
New civilization.
A couple spots where I'd predict the rise of a new African civilization. People often talk about Pan-African civilization, but given Africa's massive size and diversity, that seems ludicrous to me. My original bet before researching was the Congo due to its shared river system, but I changed away upon realizing how unnavigable the Congo River is, alongside how poor the soil is, and the lack.
Also, does he really think that in the long term, considering how we're screwing up the planet, that the climate will be identical to what it is now? Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Of any unified
Kitsune,
ethnic
you're
identity there. My strongest guess is in East Africa, where the best
Like this, what if Alhis is basically saying we just go back to Middle Ages? Like this is like we just go back in time and do a new version of that. That's his future of the world.
Forming African countries today are. Tanzania and Kenya see incredible growth, and Kenya especially has developed a strong democratic and capitalist tradition that allows them to expand.
Why capitalist? Why capitalist? This is so stupid.
And their influence across the whole region. If you want to go back to pre-colonial times, the Muslim merchants of the Swahili coast dominated East and Central Africa. Burundi is doing so well that most of the smartest people I know think they'll make a play to seize control of.
Oh, most of the smartest people you know. Okay. But you're not very smart yourself, so.
Half of the DRC.
I see.
They're positioned to become an African economic hub. Ethiopia, meanwhile, I'm very bullish on. It's the only country in the region with a long history with a strong Ethiopian government going back over 2,000 years. Both Kenya and Ethiopia are by all accounts the only sub-Saharan countries that are industrializing. I see a civilization developing around the Great Rift Mountains of East Africa, which have temperate climates, some similar to Europe, alongside some of the most fertile soil on the continent, and a strong strategic dominance over both sides of the mountain.
I see.
We've already seen this region gain a greater degree of unity with the proposed East African Union.
The
other main hub I see developing a broader civilization is Nigeria. Nigeria, in a lot of ways, is Africa's Titan. A big factor is that simply no one in Africa is capable of matching its sheer population. Nigeria is the main area with fertile soil and has easily more people than all its neighbors combined. Thus, if anything comes out of West Africa, it will come out of Nigeria. Nigeria also is the strongest enterprising hustler spirit of anywhere in Africa.
Hustler!
Nigeria has a strong capitalist economy, and Lagos being the largest port and city.
I don't trust anything that this person is saying. Like, he said that the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth had a bustling capitalist economy, so I don't know. I don't know if I can even trust what this guy is saying.
In Africa. You see this abroad, where Nigerian Americans are one of the most successful and best educated immigrant groups in America. Nigeria's south is the region that values education the most in all of Africa, and Igbos and Yorubas are the merchant class across the whole broader region. I don't think Nigeria itself will survive, given that it's an incredibly dysfunctional state.
I see.
One which repeatedly collapses into civil wars and consistently averages the highest corruption stats of anywhere in the world. It's also split into 3 cultural regions that I have heard are as culturally distinct as Ireland from Germany inside the south. And
You've heard. You didn't actually take the time to... Like, you've heard. This is a pre-made video. Didn't you research it? You did not research the topic of your own video? You've just heard it?
between the north and the south,
My biggest rival, everybody.
as between Europe and Mongolia.
My biggest.
Nigeria is held together with oil money to bribe the various constituent parts to stay together. This weakness means that Nigeria will not be able to survive as a unified state over the next few centuries, especially if the value of oil changes, which is exceptionally likely. However, I think the constituent parts of Nigeria after a collapse would be capable of forming their own civilizations.
Oh!
The Igbos and Yoruba in the south, with oil supplies, coastline, fertile soil, and enterprising and educated cultures would push this. I could see this civilization spreading out from Nigeria across West Africa.
Civilizations?
The coastline down to Congo and west to Liberia. Now we have a civilization in West and East Africa, but what of the third great pole of Black Africa, the South? Southern Africa has a key advantage in not having a tropical climate, thus eliminating a lot of disease, soil, and animal problems. This is where things get difficult, where geographically you'd expect something to emerge from this really vast area. However, I couldn't
Lion King
due to the lack of clear rain or geographic patterns or regional dominance patterns. The logical center of a new development would be Cape Town, but that's not really African, but more a city of the world with large white, Asian, and non-black African populations. Cape Town will likely...
Yeah, it's Africa, it's in Africa, but it's not really African. What? It's in Africa, but it's not really African. What is this weird racial... What? What the... What? This is so brainless. What? I'm speechless. South Africa is not really Africa. Okay.
become an independent city-state as South Africa fails, which I talk about in this video. My guess is that Southern Africa forms its own thing, but I'd be surprised if it reaches the same dynamism of the Nigerian or East African systems. It would probably be based out of Johannesburg and the surrounding highlands.
We're not watching his other videos. It is mind-numbing. It's incredible.
To the former white South Africa.
And this guy...
This area has immense mineral wealth, and thus I could see warlords based out of the diamond mines of Johannesburg,
warlords?
Copper mines of Zambia, or the cobalt mines of the Congo rise to civilization by exporting their minerals to the outside world. All these civilizations would be some form of Christian, but whenever a civilization...
Why Christian?
That civilization ends up making that religion its own. In fact, what ends up happening is that...
Why Christian in particular?
A certain civilization takes one kind of religion, the other civilization will take a new one.
What?
The Middle East made Christianity, but as Europe became Christian, the Middle East went for Islam. Or India invented Buddhism, but as the Far East became Buddhist, India reverted back to Hinduism. In Africa, we've seen Christianity develop its own very...
Yeah, basically, this is... I cannot with these guys.
African flavor. The saying is that African Christianity is miles across and inches deep, since it so deeply meshes local traditions. You can see something vaguely similar with Islam in Africa. The largest form of Christianity in Africa is Protestant Pentecostalism, which actually was invented in 1920s Los Angeles, and then spread to Africa as most of Africa was converted to Christianity by American missionaries. In Pentecostalism, people work themselves into frenzies where they start to foam at the mouth, talk in tongues, and rave. You can clearly see the tribal influence. However, as Africa develops as a society, expect even broader cultural divergences. Some areas will just have totally new prophets, establishing faiths with influences from both pagan and Christian sources. In other cases, we'll see Pentecostalism, but more. It kind of reminds you of the Taiping Rebellion, where in the mid-19th century, a Chinese man had a dream where he believed he was the second son of Christ and was destined to establish a communist gender...
Yeah, tribal influence. Like, this guy's racism is coming out all the time, like, I swear.
...utopia, thus causing the third bloodiest war in history. However, like I said in the last segment, If a religion survives, it embodies something beautiful and profound in the human spirit, and this will develop in Africa as well. Part 3. Asian Pivot. Asia has massive entrenched societies that have lasted
Asian pivot.
forever. China and India have stood there for thousands of years, since there was literally no one who could remove them. Likewise, Islam is so stolid and proud today that the idea of the Muslim world ever being extinguished sounds completely insane. However, like anywhere else, the old value systems from the pre-industrial world aren't holding true, and so, like everywhere else, the civilizations of Asia
Part 3, insert transition here, yeah.
will have to make large changes in order to survive. In many cases, the older cultural bedrock will be maintained, but new prophets or religions will have to rise to give Asia new purpose.
What? What? This is so nonsensical. This is babble.
The biggest spiritual void in the continent of Asia, I believe, is the Far East, with China, Korea, and Japan.
What?
An area where people have nothing to believe in, either falling into hentai or extreme totalitarian nationalism.
What? Are you... hentai or extreme to... What? What?
Confucianism still holds strong, being a social theory that cannot be disproven by science, but all the mystical beliefs that propped up Confucianism, let alone the other faiths like Buddhism or Taoism.
Yeah, I'm glad we kept watching as well. This is gonna be an incredible segment if edited well.
Have rotted.
This is going to be an incredible
also
segment.
Positioned to have a massive crisis over the next couple decades. For reasons I've explained in this video, this region will have a massive
Why do you keep plugging your old videos?
crisis imminently. East Asia will have its population by 2050, with some of the fastest collapsing populations of anywhere on the planet. At the same time, it is the area most dependent upon the global economy, both for resources and for exports, and thus problems elsewhere in the global system will totally dominate this area's politics.
Totally.
Cultures in East Asia tend to go for totalitarianism for short-term problems, but this always...
What? What does that mean? Cultures in Asia seems to go for totalitarianism for short-term problems. What? What does that mean? This is so pathetic. Like, this is the old stereotype that Asian people need a strong leader to lead them. This is just this racist stereotype, once again repeated.
Always blows up. We're currently seeing the communist Chinese try to go for totalitarianism, and it will blow up as China's population halves, and their population returns to rice farms to feed themselves. In the moral vacuum that comes from the collapse of modern East Asia, new religions will develop. We see this response already with the rise of prophets as a response to China's humiliations by the West. This includes Hong Shu-quan of the Taiping, as I mentioned earlier, as well as Mao. I honestly have no
is not a religion. What the hell?
Clue what kind of new ideology and prophets will arise in East Asia.
Mao Zedong is not a prophet. What?
Westerner, it's basically impossible to predict what Oriental philosophers will invent.
Wait, what?
Some texts for theology and prophets will arise in East Asia. As a Westerner, it's basically impossible to predict what Oriental philosophers will invent.
What? Oh my god, this person is so ridiculous.
I was reading some texts from the modern Chinese internet right, like their equivalents to BAP.
There we go. And there we have it. There we have it. I was reading some text from the Chinese right. There we have it. He's right wing. His right wing is good.
As a Westerner, it's basically impossible to predict what...
There we go. His right-wing values are shining through.
Oriental philosophers will invent. I was reading some texts from the modern Chinese internet right, like their equivalents to BAP and Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. Wow, imagine taking Jordan Peterson seriously.
Just thinking, what? Under what logic chain would you think that? Having studied them, I find Eastern philosophies like Taoism, Buddhism, or Zen brilliant, but I still need to take a couple tries to be able to figure out what they're exactly saying.
Oh my god.
The only thing I can tell you at the East's next religion is that I can't tell you anything about it. However,
I see. So you're just saying you're not very smart. Okay. I understand. Okay.
Chinese's basis in Confucianism does set them up for social theory views of the world like communism. It wouldn't surprise me at all if some Chinese version of Jordan Peterson arises to explain what amounts to a fundamentally Confucian value system for a new era.
What? Why Jordan Peterson? What, a deranged drug addict with brain damage will lead China? What? What? Yeah.
For India, I'm going to take the brilliant theory from Amaury de Riancourt. In his wonderful book, The Eye of Shiva, he talks about how, for reasons beyond our understanding, the Hindu mystics were able to figure out the underlying nature of the world, that we how, for reasons beyond...
So, do we want to check out this author? Do we want to check this author? If he's also like a incredible weirdo? We want to play the game? Do we want to check him out? Or no? Are we good? Are we good or no? Well, I'll give you a few seconds to check him out and I'll unpause. Okay.
Our understanding, the Hindu mystics were able to figure out the underlying...
He skims a Wikipedia summary, then considers he's an expert in the topic. True! True, absolutely true.
nature of the world that we see with modern physics.
Wow.
A fundamentally irrational world where space and time are the same, where the universe is a bubble with an empty center, and non-existence is balanced with existence, among many, many other things. China is a civilization where the state went at the expense of religion, and India is the opposite.
I see.
China has responded to its humiliations by the West and Japan by falling back on the state, as evidenced by communism, and India did so with
the evil Marxism.
Religion, with Gandhi being a great example. What Amaury predicted is that a future prophet would arise from India, combining the ancient ascetic traditions with modern physics to establish a view of the world that combines modern science with traditional asceticism, where one finds meaning in the world with sublimation into the universe.
I see.
Amaury also said that India has always tried to
what if all his knows his business? He spoke with a very intelligent person from Europe.
Elevate the individual
He knows his business.
The collective religiously. Both Hinduism and Buddhism are about the individual escaping the travails of the world.
True.
During Accor predicted in the 60s that the Indians would be the society most willing to use genetic engineering in the future, since it was the natural progression of that chain of logic.
I see.
And a society with such an established precedent of inequality that came from the caste system, with the Brahmins already being viewed as a higher form of being that would elevate themselves towards the gods. The Muslim world's more complicated. Islam today appears to be the religion that's done the best job of maintaining its social influence over its societies. Partially...
No, I didn't think you're too harsh. Like, what if atheist is a total hack?
For this reason, as I've mentioned before in this video, and for a couple other reasons, I'm bullish on Islam over the next couple centuries. Since they're one of the very few cultures in the world, they're still willing to die over something and have growing populations.
They're still dying to die over something.
Will still eventually face the same religious decay as the other main world religions, given that they have to deal with the same effects of industrialization. It's my belief that this region will suffer massive pain over the next few centuries, and then form a new caliphate that will be a superpower. I don't really know, but I guess Islam will respond to this in the same way the Semitic peoples have responded to previous changes, by having a prophet arise to update but still reaffirm Yahweh's message. The brilliant historian Fabry has made a model of showing the cycles of...
You do realize that the Islam and the Judaism and Christianity, technically speaking, share one God, right?
Semitic societies, and believes that Islam will have a new prophet over the next few centuries. I don't know if this will result in strengthening Islam, since they'd be operating inside the Muslim tradition, or if this figure will form some new Abrahamic religion like Christianity or Judaism. Part 4. The English-speaking world. Finally, I think the English-speaking world will split off as its own civilization from the rest of the West. We can already see this in how America differs.
The rest of the West. Jesus.
from Europe, both of which had incredibly different approaches to the post-war world. Europe largely abandoned all the principles that had built its success over the previous 1,000 years, whether capitalism, Christianity, or the nation, while the United States kept them. This makes it sound like America is the true successor to Western civilization, which I don't think is the best way to view this situation. America is England's descendant state, and England was already pretty strange by European standards, but America took all of England's quirks like hardo capitalism, openness, religion and intellectual tolerance, individualism, and a couple other things, while removing the European constants like long histories, clear hierarchical structures, and the like, thus producing some...
But the Polish, Lithuanian Commonwealth had religious tolerance, etc., more than England. What?
Has become progressively less European over time. In the book History has Begun by Bruno Massais, he makes a very interesting argument that America and Europe are becoming different civilizations, which I agree with. Partially for the reasons above, but also America is becoming a very different society from Europe. America is now only 60% non-Hispanic white, meaning that keeping an identity as being a predominantly Western European society doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. Likewise, most Americans are in such a different climate from Europe, whether being on the Pacific, in the subtropics, or in the desert and plains, that identifying with Europe's temperate woodland climate's difficult. Most Americans don't identify as Westerners, instead as Americans, an identity that includes many people of color and is based upon the near spiritual document of the Constitution and freedom, rather than European cathedrals and kings. Over the next few centuries, I think the English-speaking world, which is culturally attached to the United States, whether or not they like to admit it, will form a new civilization attached to this new American civilization that will go in a very different direction than continental Europe. Due to declining population and competitivity, Europe is projected to continue its decline as a percentage of the world's economy that it's already seen since the Second World War. America is projected to see stable or growing percentages of the world's economy, which will lessen America's interest in Europe. Going forward over the next 500 or so years, I see Northern Europe will probably be integrated into a future American civilization, especially Scandinavia, but Southern Europe seems less likely.
This is what this guy likes saying, oh, this civilization will just swallow this one, this culture will just swallow this one, yeah, no big deal, right?
I think this division from Europe will be furthered by the integration of Latin societies into the American system. Mexico is now thoroughly glued into the American economy, and Peter Zeihan makes a wonderful argument that this will continue in the future due to complementary demographic, geographic, and economic structures. The vast number of Hispanic Americans will ease this partnership between the Anglo and the Latin worlds. I'd put Cuba in the same category, where once the communist government falls, Cuban Americans likely industrialize the island and drag it into the American sphere of influence. However, as American society becomes more Latin, its connections to Europe will also grow weaker. This Anglo civilization will be incredibly dynamic and creative, as it's always been, but will have the disadvantages of being one of the few
as it's always been
areas in the world least touched by the coming world crisis, and being split away from the main conflict areas around the world, giving its people the opportunity to grow arrogant, soft, and complacent. Being largely an island coalition in many ways, the Anglos will likely dominate the world's oceans and be air dominant for centuries to come. Likewise, the problem with American society so far is that it's so open it can enforce social standards well, thus resulting in bad movies, homeless people shooting heroin in the streets, or lack of unifying myth.
What? Where did that come from? Bad movies? What?
And strength. Of anyone in the world, the Anglos have by far the highest chance of colonizing space. America is the most capital of anywhere in the world, the best space technology, a frontier spirit that demands continual expansion, and a protected geography that allows them strategic security. Americans show far more excitement about colonizing space than anyone else in the world, since it combines their love of gadgets and the frontier.
What the
The most likely option is the Anglos totally dominate the colonization of space for the next couple centuries, since I just can't think of a single power that could come close to compete. If space becomes the dominant strategic concern over the future, and we see improvements in agriculture that allow new regions to be brought into cultivation, as we've consistently seen over the last few centuries, I can see two regions gaining immense traction in the Anglo world. The first being Alaska, which is so close to the North Pole, would have a massive air edge, and its isolated geography gives it strategic protection to colonize space. I'd put Australia and New Zealand in the exact same category as
What
well
the-
for their isolation and size. The
I
process
see.
of man's colonization of the stars will probably take centuries or probably millennia, thus allowing many different players to have different golden ages and different colonial periods. However, I'd say that the Americans and Anglos have an incredible first starter advantage, which allows them to populate Mars, Venus, the Moon, and maybe some of Jupiter's moons over the next 200 years. This brings up the even more fascinating question of what new civilizations will dominate as mankind pushes beyond this planet.
Oh my
Maybe even
God.
beyond the stars. Perhaps in some bizarre future world into different dimensions. Think of how different China is from Western Europe, and remember, they're still on the same megacontinent. Now imagine if a civilization developing on Venus, or on some 300-year voyage to some far star, would develop under those conditions. Now that's a fascinating question that I'd love to see how the future will play out. What if Altus...
What do you mean you'd love to see how the future will play out? Why? Do you plan to live for it?
For what?
Yeah, he is, literally. Yeah, I would love to see how it will play out. Oof.
If you enjoyed that video, please like, comment, subscribe, or stay tuned for additional content.
we will
or alternatively,
leave out
check me out
this
at
like.
Pillar, Pearl, and Patreon. As always, thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.
Oh my God. Okay, so we've done this. We have been, yeah, so far so good. So this is if you like this, then please, yeah, I know, this is incredible. 200,000 people have seen this. Why? This person has 440,000 subscribers. I have, okay, I will tell you how much subscribers I've got.